When I was just starting out reselling, I did a ton of sourcing at yard sales. I still am a huge fan of yard sales for, that's not a good sign. So this person, looks like a old buy list package that we're opening here, and it was right up against the tape when somebody sealed it, and when I went to open it, it just immediately started ripping. So maybe if you guys are including invoices on your own, might be most ideal to not have them right up in the middle. I still love yard sales as a way, especially of starting out reselling, because it's a great way to get inventory at the cheapest buy cost possible. And one of the categories that I would buy most commonly at yard sales was golf clubs, because I could oftentimes get a whole bag for 20 or 30 bucks, and a lot of the clubs in there would sell for 15 to 20, sometimes more dollars. But one thing that I wish I would have known back then, that I have since learned very deep into my soul, is that not all profit is created equal. Because what I was failing to estimate at that time, what is this? I don't know if this person has ever submitted to us before, because I'm seeing a few things that are raising some concerns. One is a loose Pokemon Diamond with with not only no original case, but also some writing on the label, which is pretty clearly not allowed in our conditions. Then we also have this copy of Super Smash Bros. Here, which...
What's the problem?
I don't know. What is this? Is this the original label that's just folded down into itself? Man, at least it does have the manual, but... And then what? We don't buy this, right? Is this on the buy list? You think we do? Okay, maybe we added that one. I know we do buy this one, but again, like stickers and stuff on the label... Dang, this may end up being a good example of what not to do when you're submitting packages to us. At this point, of course, the much better way to do it is through our app/program Quick Flips. The old buy list has significantly fewer games that we're buying, fewer conditions, and worse prices. But even through Quick Flips, like, we're not buying loose discs. So I'm a little bit concerned that this. A whole bag, it looks like, of just, have we ever gotten this before? Of just loose discs? Like, it says pretty clearly, you guys can see, they printed this thing out. I don't want to reveal who this is. But right up here under regular games, disc games, or 3DS games, you can see the condition guidelines are right there on top of all of our prices. Like, we tried to make them pretty hard to miss. It says, games must include the original case and manual when applicable. It's definitely applicable with these little bad boys here, but I guess that must have gotten missed. And unfortunately, like, this is the kind of thing that you have to try to build systems around to prevent as much as possible. Because like on what's going to end up happening is we're going to have to separate this shipment into two piles. One is games that we can take and that are in acceptable condition, and the other one of games like this that just should never have been sent in the first place. And because it's someone's first shipment, normally we try to avoid at all costs shipping things back to people because it really clogs up our back-end system and makes it less efficient to process things. But if it's someone's first time, we try to be a little bit more generous with our time in that sense. This is another one that I would get. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely this polar white DS here has some creeping crud all around it. So unfortunately, like, there's going to be a good number of games in this shipment that just end up getting sent back, and we'll have to deduct the cost of return shipping from the invoice total, and hopefully there aren't a whole lot of additional deductions. But it takes a lot of work to figure out, okay, we basically have to split this invoice in half and, into the things that we can and can't take. Anyways, the point that I was making is with the golf clubs from yard sales, I thought I was getting a great deal because I was paying $2 and selling for $15, say, on average. That was honestly on the lower end. But what I wasn't factoring in was, one, you're paying eBay fees, which I was factoring in. So, maybe a total of $4 or $5 in total investment for cost of goods and fees. But then golf clubs were very inconvenient to ship. I didn't have the right kind of boxes, and I would end up frankenboxing two like of those large USPS like triangular boxes together, and then like wrapping up the club head and putting a bunch of packing material, and the whole process would take me like 15 minutes. Now, at the time, I would estimate that my time as a reseller was worth around maybe 20 bucks an hour. Assuming that I was working 10-hour days, and in a given shift, I was able to source, list, and ship about 10 items. I think that's pretty reasonable. But if that's the case, then I was spending about $5 worth of time shipping an item that was only making me 10 in profit. And looking back on it, I realize now that the opportunity cost of shipping those lower end golf clubs was just not worth it. And I should have been putting that time into something that, an activity that was more profitable and that would make me more money. That's the first thing that I really wish I would have known as a reseller when I was just starting out. I think this batch, what I wanted to do, like, I don't know, you guys will have to let me know if this format is entertaining for you. I like to not just like sit here and talk to a camera and say, here are the 3 things. I like to also be able to like open stuff up and show you the kind of things that people are submitting to us through our, our new app program. And the thing is, it's also very distracting. Like, I feel a little bit bad hopping back and forth in trains of thought. I'm curious to hear whether you guys actually like that format. I feel like it is entertaining, but a little bit more disjointed. Another story that I would like to tell you guys from my early resale days happened probably about a year into me having the channel. I was doing all of my pawn shop routes, going around to like different pawn shops and video game stores, and I would hit 5, 6, sometimes up to 12 stops in a given day, just trying to find all kinds of items that would flip better on Amazon. And one shop that I went to, I remember in Indiana, it was a flea market shop where not only were the prices really high, but I got a little bit of a bad sense from the owner. And it seemed like he was like trying to shift games around and change prices on me at the last minute when he realized that they were underpriced, things like that I didn't love in terms of business tactics. And I talked about that on the video, but afterwards I realized on my subsequent sourcing trips to Indiana, dang, I can't really go to that place now because there's a good chance that he could have seen that video and now he doesn't like me. And that realization really stuck with me. And I realized not only that now with this YouTube channel, I mean, at the time I was only probably getting a few thousand views per video, but still, it's a small community, word gets around pretty quick. And I realized that I now have a higher level of responsibility with the things that I say about people in public. And most of the time, if I'm not saying something kind that makes people excited to do business with me the next time, I really shouldn't be saying it at all. And it wasn't until, this guy got a little bit of a, this is why you guys probably saw when we opened this up, we didn't have a whole lot of packing material in this. This is a big reason why, because when we get games that most of the time when we see some crushing, they'll have like chips along the edges like this. And that's a deduction that we have to make because we'll have to go up to our, replacement cases box over here and replace it, and that costs some money. So we definitely recommend using a lot of packing material, especially bubble wrap or air pouches or things like that when you're sending us items. I didn't realize until a few years later that there's a really helpful term, a really helpful paradigm for determining what you should or shouldn't say about other people in your industry, and that's the elevator rule. And it basically says that when you're considering saying something about someone, if it would cause you to feel awkward if you later had to ride the elevator with that person, don't say it. And I hear what you might be saying, Caleb, that's interesting. I have my own small business, but I'm not on YouTube. I'm not on Instagram or TikTok. I'm not really worried about what I'm putting out there. I would challenge you a little bit, because even if I stopped doing YouTube tomorrow, I would 100% still adhere to this rule. Number one, because as I said, reselling or small business in general, it's a small community and people talk. Things get around. And the other reason is, say I'm hanging out with Spanky here, and I'm like, you know what? That Retro Rick guy, boy, what a joker he is. What a schmuck that guy is. You know what? I don't like his face. I don't like what he has going on. And you know what? That Riff guy, boy, he's trying to say that his hair is naturally changing colors to brown after like, what, 45 years, 50 years on this planet? Are you kidding? Like, nobody's gonna buy that. And you know that Chase guy, that Chase After the Right Price? Have you seen how he dresses recently? I mean, clearly he did not he did not get enough attention as a child. If someone had hugged him more, he wouldn't need to dress that way. As you know, I'm goofing around now, but if I was actually talking smack about people behind people's backs often, what Spanky's going to think when he leaves the room is, what's he saying about me behind my back? And I realize that in business, it's just so not just in business, but in life, because I think that applies to everyone. It's so important to use your words to build people up and not tear them down, not just because that's the virtuous thing to do and that's, you know, that's how good people conduct themselves, but also because in the long run, it makes the most business sense. At this point, we're definitely going to have to take a closer look at, you know, this is another one that we will most like, and I hate doing it because we love Smash Bros. Melee, but you can just see like the case here. This is the kind of game that'll sell like within a day or two of hitting the warehouse, but we don't want it to sell. Like we don't want to sell games that are likely to get returned because they have significant condition flaws. That's why we have to be such sticklers for condition with the Quick Flips program. By the way, in the last video, I didn't do a great job of explaining to people how to join. You can go to one-up.app, and if you're on your browser on desktop, it'll just, you know, it's just a website. And if you're on mobile, it's a program where, I'm not even gonna try to fix this. This is not working. It's a program where you can add the shortcut to your home screen and it acts just like an app, but you cannot get it on the App Store. That's actually a qualm that some people had with my pitch for it in the last few videos that we'll talk about a little later, because I wanna read some of your comments and react to them. But what was the last thing? I had one last story for you guys that was the third thing that I wish I had known before I started reselling. Oh, that's right. So one thing that I mentioned in the last video, we'll go ahead and move over here. Ooh. No! The deeper I go into this package, I keep finding things. Another one with writing on it. And this is another thing that, like, in the condition notes right on the buy list that he sent us, I'm pretty sure we have that. Yeah, must have clean label with no tears, stickers, or marker. So,
what about pen?
Maybe we should add pen. Jason, definitely don't want to put you on blast here. I really, really appreciate you submitting stuff to us, and I hope that you don't fault us when we do have to send, you know, some of the stuff back. Hopefully, maybe we can make these a little bit more clear or something like that for you. But this is, you know, that's just something that you kind of have to plan for and work around. This is another thing that I wanted to show you guys. Because this is our stack over here of all the packages that we got in just today. It was an absolutely massive day. We're both going to be really busy, but the one that stuck out to me as like, ooh, I hope this doesn't work out badly, is this one. Because I'll cover up the info here. If you take a look all around the top of this package, like it's busted in. And what is that? Is that a cord? I hope this is a controller. Okay, yeah, that's a zapper. You can, like, it seems like this gap is big enough that stuff could have slipped out. It seems like maybe there was a little bit too much, like, dead space on the top of this package and it kind of got pushed in. I don't know. It almost...
Maybe USPS did a little finger discount.
It could be. Or it could be that USPS did a little 5-toe discount and just punted this thing across their warehouse because, I mean, it's in rough shape. So I wanted to open this one live on camera just so, you know, everyone knows that we're staying above board with, you know, this kind of package. But one phrase that has stuck in my mind so much this last year is, "He who chases 2 rabbits catches none." Is it Aesop or Confucius that said that? It was one of those really smart guys that's been dead pretty much forever. looks like, dang, I was hoping this would be a quick flips invoice. This is another standard buy list one. We have a whole lot. Okay, this is fortunate. This is the nice thing. So you can see there was packing material used. Unfortunately, it does seem like a lot of this popped. So there wasn't a whole lot of padding in the end. This did come all the way from Canada, so it, you know, had a rougher journey than most would. The good news is these controllers, especially these zappers, don't tend to be super fragile. So I'm optimistic that, you know, even though the box was definitely a little worse for wear, that we didn't, hopefully the actual contents didn't sustain a lot of damage. Why do I bring that up? He who chases two rabbits catches none. One of the questions that we got a lot on our last peace sale video, where we were, I don't know what the context was, but I was talking about how we don't sell much anymore on eBay or whatnot. And the whole reasoning behind that shift, even though last year, I mean, shoot, we did, I can't remember what it was. It was between 100 and 250. I think it was between $100 and $200,000 in sales on whatnot in a single year. So why would we go from that to now only focusing on Amazon? And the reason is that he who chases two rabbits catches none. Or, in other words, as I've been saying recently, we're trying to do less better. Especially if you're trying to keep your operation small and not scale your overhead and your liability and your responsibility and your management. It's really, really important for us small business people to be strategic about what we are putting effort into. And over the last year, I've been looking at a lot of stuff and reassessing, is this bit of effort the most profitable thing that I could be putting my time and energy into? And eBay was something that got the boot pretty soon after Spencer joined, because I realized, dang, teaching someone to do not just Amazon and not just whatnot, but also list miscellaneous like high dollar obscure stuff on eBay, this is just like really tough. This is not, it doesn't seem like a scalable system. So eBay got the boot pretty early on, just by nature of we weren't selling as much on there. And then just last year, we started doing fewer whatnot shows and trying to just hone in. That was around the time that we started ramping up the buy list program, which has now become the quick flips, or the one-up app with the quick flips feature. And so that ultimately is the reason. Now, some of you astute listeners may be asking yourself, wait a second, Caleb, wait a second. If you really believe that he who chases two rabbits catches none and do less better and blah, 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 why, oh why, would you decide this last year to go ahead and start an app, sir? That seems like another pretty hefty rabbit that you just added into the chase. And to that I would say, honestly, yes, you've got me there. There's no doubt that the amount of additional effort and diverted attention and just emotional resources that have been expended on this app have been very significant. And as a result, I've had to ask myself, what else do I need to cut out? And the answer to that, because at this point, I don't want to add things. I don't want to just add and add and add. I want to strategically add while subtracting other things that matter less. So the way that I've tried to compensate as I'm taking a, like, I don't know about this. So the good thing is in this batch, like most of the cords are wrapped up. Some of them, it seems, have not been. They've just kind of been tossed in there. Here's what we say in the onboarding process for one-up is that the prices that we're offering is for like 9 out of 10 condition items. And we can't pay 9 out of 10 condition prices for, you know, like a 4 or 5 out of 10 condition item, right? So you've got a whole bunch of like, you know, visible dirt on this and a really dirty cord that's going to take a lot of cleaning. So we do very kindly ask that people who are submitting us stuff, please pay very close, careful attention to the condition notes. If it's your first time submitting, we're a lot more lenient. But the people who have sent us stuff regularly, like, we want to do everything we can to keep our prices as high as possible, and we can only do that if our regular submitters are adhering to the condition guidelines. So we hate making deductions. It doesn't feel good, and it gives people a worse experience of the app, and we want to build long-term partners. So it's not in our best interest to make deductions. We have to make sure that the incentives are aligned. Does that make sense? So yes, this last year added a huge thing with one-up, but a huge part of the motivation for that was actually to be able to allow us to do less better. So do less, like go out and like spontaneously source different stores and instead have more stuff come to us, and do less of in videos working with a bunch of sponsors and like creating scripts and submitting them for approval, and then they wait 3 months to pay you and blah, blah, blah. Instead of that, maybe I can just promote my own thing and see similar financial upside in the long term. So weirdly enough, even though it's adding a big thing to the business, creating an app was a long-term play in hopes of eventually being able to chase fewer rabbits in the business. Here's the last thing. This is something for those 3 of you who are still watching. First of all, I really appreciate you. And second of all, I really want your feedback on this, because I've taken a few screenshots of some comments that I got on the last video that got some likes and that clearly people were interested in. I'm thinking about at the end of every P-Sale video, reading some of the top questions from the former video and just answering them. So in the comments of this video, 1, tell me if you're interested in that, and 2, check the most interesting comment that someone else has asked, the most interesting question, give it a like, and then in the next video, I'll try to address the top liked comments. The first one is someone asking, 12 Tippetum says, my confusion is the app only to sell to yourself? People can't sell to each other? Why pay to have the privilege to sell to one person and not everyone on the platform like the eBay model? What the heck? I added the what the heck. 12 Tippetum, there are actually 2 reasons for that. One is technical and one is, I don't know, I guess economical. The technical one is that the systems required to build a full-on buying and selling app are significantly larger. I mean, you're talking about, you have to have a sophisticated, like, what's it called? Like when you have an issue, like a, issue resolution system, like we would have to have a full-on customer support team just for when there are disputes between buyers and sellers. We would have to implement a feedback system or some process for vetting buyers and sellers to make sure that people are getting the kind of stuff that they want. We would have to implement a whole payment processing platform and like front end and back end ways for people to like get their payouts. Like I thought that paying $130K for an app was expensive. If you're talking about a buying and selling platform, I can't imagine you could do that for less than $1 million. I mean, something like Whatnot, not even like hundreds of millions of dollars in software development we're talking about. And I just didn't really want to do that on the technical side. On the user side, I felt like I don't think video game resellers really need another buying and selling platform. Like Amazon, Mercari, Whatnot, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, even in-person stuff like stores, conventions, flea market booths. There's all kinds of different ways to move video game inventory these days. But what I didn't see was a really good wholesale solution where people can quickly access some of the highest prices I've ever seen. There are individual items that other people on their buy lists might be buying higher than ours. I've never seen a consistently higher price wholesale model than Quick Flips. So far, knock on cheap plastic. So those were the 2 motivations. One, I don't feel like there was much of a gap in the market for facilitating transactions between buyers and sellers. I did see a gap in the market for people having a quick and easy way to buy low and sell fast, which is a huge philosophy, a huge value for us. And also, selfishly, we did want it to make it easier for our regular partners who have been doing a ton of business with us through the Buy List program to submit stuff to us. And so far, we've gotten really great feedback on that side. Next question. We have Hunter Sausage and Redbeard says, you should collect things more anyway and not try to scalp them all the time. It hurts the gaming community unless you are actually trying to get people a decent deal. It's hard for me to even count the number of issues I have with this comment. The first one, let's just go through one by one. You should collect things more. I reject that. I do not think that collecting is a more virtuous hobby than reselling. I think reselling stuff is really cool and fun and rewarding. Collecting stuff is cool and fun and rewarding. You're not a better person if you're a collector than if you're a reseller. Now, are there ethical ways to go about reselling that are better and worse than others? Absolutely, and we'll get to that a little bit later in this comment. But there are also ethical ways, more and less ethical ways to collect, I would say, right? Getting into hoarding and getting into, I don't know, sacrificing your family's financial well-being to support your collection, right? You can go good and bad with any hobby that you get into. I reject the notion that reselling is inherently unethical. You should collect things more anyway and not try to scalp all the time. What we're doing is not scalping. Scalping is when there is a limited market supply of a brand new item and the price is driven up by artificially low supply because there is a few number of sellers that are hoarding all of the supply to themselves. All the items that we sell, there are literally millions of units of on the used market available right now, so it's not possible to scalp. It hurts the gaming community. Also reject that. If anything, the gaming community is better served by having more options available for purchasing their items on sites like eBay and Amazon because higher availability of goods drives prices down. And unless you are actually trying to get people a decent deal. This one really surprised me because the whole premise of the last video was that we did a trade at $1,000 total value, cash and trade, for a copy of Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, which is consistently like an $1,100 to $1,500 game, especially in really nice condition. It's probably on the higher end of that range. That was the whole premise of the video was giving somebody a pretty solid trade deal. And we had multiple people in the comments saying, hey, I'm actually looking for a Sculptor's Cut. And if I had found one in that condition for that price, I would have bought it instantly. So Hunter Sausage and Redbeard, I disagree, but thank you for watching. Next one, why are you paying over 100% on some items price charting value? What do you gain from that? That's actually a really good question and one that I'm surprised people don't ask more. I'm gonna go ahead and grab another little box here to give us a little entertainment value while we're answering this. How are we able to pay sometimes over market value on stuff through the app, through quick flips? I should have found an example of this. I think we must have just sent them all off. But there's a Madden game on the 360. It's like Madden 25 something that people send us all the time because I'm pretty sure it's worth maybe like $4 on price charting and we're paying $5 or something like that. And the reason we're able to do that is because we sell on Amazon, and for some games we're able to get really good premiums and still sell at scale. So our incentive, even though on a game like that, we could probably offer 3 and still have a lot of people send it to us because nobody really wants to deal with a $4 game on eBay. We like to offer as much as we reasonably can because that gives people a better experience of the app overall. Like, I want to get rich by making other people rich. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that's historically what has worked the best. And a great way to do that is like if we have that kind of flexibility, like if something just goes for really stupid prices on Amazon because Amazon buyers prioritize convenience and are less price sensitive and all those things, absolutely, I'd love to do that. I can't guarantee that those prices are always going to stay high or that other prices are going to stay high or that other random games, maybe they'll go up in price. We adjust our prices once a month to try to account for, market factors. You guys know used game prices are changing all the time. But we do, genuinely, my motivation is I want to give people the best prices I possibly can. This batch is looking, is this a quick flips? A quick flipperoo, let's go. So this, you guys can see, is a significantly more visually, aesthetically pleasing. Like this is the old, this is the new. Old, new. I'm really proud of how Quick Flips is turning out. Except we haven't found a solution for this yet. This is one thing that we talked about in the last video too. We've got this error of the overlap. We can still read it, like it's fine. It also looks like this is an issue that, this is more of like a, you know, just user, how would you even say that? Like when you click finalize batch, it's meant to be like, this is what I'm sending you. But a lot of people afterwards will either realize that they like put something that they don't actually have or decide to take something out of the batch or whatever. And they'll just like manually scribble it out and then like go down to the total and try to change it. It's not ideal, but we also don't have an infrastructure for modifying a batch because like finalize is when you get sent the invoice. So it doesn't really make sense that you can then go, anyway, something that we're working through. What was the question? Oh yeah. So yeah, that's how we are looking to pay as much as we possibly can, hopefully with the Quick Flips program. We want people to be really happy about it. The way that you build a business and a service especially is by creating the kind of service that people naturally rave about, right? One company that I worked for was this like lodging solutions company. And they had this whole motto of creating raving fans. We want people's experience of our business to be so good that they can't help but just tell people about it, right? We called in and somebody answered on the first ring and we're super like eager to solve our problem and they greeted us by name and they followed up immediately once they found an issue in like an hour. It was such a great experience. I can't believe this company is so great. And I've really taken that philosophy and tried to implement it with this, like paying over price charting value as much as we can, because it's not common that we can do that, is a great way to create raving fans. And especially like when you're building a business so publicly on a platform like YouTube, anytime someone has a bad experience, you can generally be pretty assured they're going to go right to Twitter, right? And they're going to go right to Reddit and, you know, broadcast how terrible we are and like how we're trying to scam everyone and stuff like that. Like maybe this, you know, someone submits a batch where we have to send a bunch of stuff back and make a bunch of deductions and charge return shipping. I wouldn't be surprised if the response then is, I need to get the word out about this bad experience in any way that I possibly can. So we try to combat that because inevitably you're going to have some users that end up with an experience like that because you'll have some users that ignore basic instructions. So our strategy to, this one looks like got a little worse for wear. And that's honestly not surprising given that you guys kind of saw there was really very little, there might have been actually zero packing material in this one. This is the kind of damage that will often result when there is no like bubble wrap or anything like that. Caught red-handed, caught brown boxed. So anyways, we're trying to offset the negative PR that is higher likelihood given that I do have a YouTube channel and there's a very specific face associated with the brand of one-up by making sure that the people who are the good customers really freaking love this thing. That was the last question we have on this one. So any further questions that you guys have on anything, my hairline, the app, our general business direction, put them in the comments below and then vote on the ones that you like the best and I'll try to answer them next time. But appreciate you guys watching and I'm going to go back to pretending to work as I just play Game Boy.